hey, hey, Woo! Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, YouTube, everywhere. There's going to be a clip of this played. Welcome to the broadcast booth. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully, y'all are doing good out there. Hopefully, you all are rocking, rolling, grooving, and moving. I know it's still early in the morning. We are on later than we normally would be at this time, but that's okay. It's been a whirlwind of adventures this whole week with the girlfriend's birthday and everything else happening. So we have, let's see, we went crystal mining, title of the show. We went and hung out with some friends yesterday. And so after the crystal mining, we didn't do a whole lot. We were wiped out. If you've never been crystal mining, I recommend going and doing it because you find some pretty cool stuff. But before we kick into that, we're going to show some t-shirts we didn't have available for you. This one should be here this week. Someone has ordered this one, the Wonder Woman t-shirt. So that one is coming. That one's on its way. We have the Crow shirt, if you're interested in that, based off of my artwork. Terrifier, again, based off of an original piece of artwork that I did. Dexter with Resurrection already out, already doing a good job watching that series again. Howard the Duck, all this is based off of my artwork. Then you can pick it up now. Ivan Moody, an original piece of Ivan Moody. Oh, Five Finger Death Punch. The Last Ronin with Mikey there in the middle. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. My original Joker piece that sold, this one has sold. My other one is still in my hands. My painting, that is, right there. But this makes a cool shirt. My Chester Bennington piece, right here. You can get him in your hot little hands as well as a t-shirt or the painting. I have it still too. And my original American Horror shirt based off of Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein from the painting American Gothic from the 1930s. And then my Bad Habits series with my Naughty Nuns right there. So there you go. This is an all original piece. And you can buy the painting or buy a shirt or get a print because that one will be turned into prints again. All right, so title of the show, Crystal Mining. Yes, you got me. This is Danny Bonaducci. How did you guess? Never heard that before. You guys need to be a little more original when it comes to your lines, Johnny. So, we did some crystal mining and found a lot of cool stuff. We went to Ron Coleman Mining Company here in Arkansas, up in Jessieville, on the 10th, actually, the girlfriend's birthday. And we were out there from just after they opened because they opened at 8:30. And yes, Opie Taylor. Wow. Again, never heard these before in my life. Wow. This is amazing, Johnny. But thanks for coming on the show and telling me people I'm not. I mean, yes, give me their money. You know, if that's who I am, give me their money, please. But we were out there from 9 o'clock in the morning until basically 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And we found a ton of stuff, a lot of cool stuff. And just looking at their prices at the shop from what people have found and things like that is very, very awesome, because it gives us a price point on the stuff that we did find. So just paying the admission to get in there and dig on their crystal mine property. And oh wow, you're bringing out an old comic book, Archie. Wow, maybe Veronica and Jughead will show up too. But don't forget to like, share, and follow if you haven't done so already. Please do. So we found stuff like this right here. Hi Andy, how's it going? We found stuff like this, which is getting to that clear spot because you can see my finger move around behind it. So this is a pretty good sized piece, right here. That's one of the decent pieces we found. But we also found points that were like this, a little bit bigger than that one, right there. Almost the same size, but this one's just a lot thicker than this one over here. But then we found stuff that was super crystal clear, like this little piece right here, where you can definitely see the finger go behind it. You can see all the colors behind it and all that good stuff. Right there. Just a lot of cool stuff to find out there. And there was one person that found a huge sphere that was bigger than this one and nicer than this one. Right there. And it was literally about this tall, showing reference to everybody, and probably about that big around on the base. And it was clear crystal tower, and like this little mini cluster right here of crystals right there. And we're going to try and do this once a month. It's hard to see on that camera right there, but a little bit clearer down here. We're going to try and do this once a month and end up, turning into crystal miners because it was a lot of fun. Another clear spike piece right there. As you can see, all the differential flat points from all the sand and the rocks rubbing against it over time. But these are just some of the cool ones that we found that we're keeping for ourselves as we are going to offload the rest of them. And this was the very first one found. I wish it was a little bit better, but it was pretty awesome right there. This was the very first one found out there at the crystal mine at Ron Coleman's crystal mine. So this is the very first one, again, found. And, I do wish that it was more of a complete piece, but it was pretty awesome to find it in the dirt, in the clay. So it was pretty awesome. And then one that I was surprised that people just left, kind of like, not this one, but one I'm talking about here in a minute. This one's very cool too. But one that I'm surprised that people just left because people just left a ton of quartz just laying around all over the place. And quartz is quartz. It's just a kind of a milky crystal, basically more like this right here, this milky color right here. And this one is a nice little cluster of spikes coming off and inside the rock right there. Very, very cool piece. But the coolest piece was right here by far. I don't know if you guys know about your smoky quartz and all of that stuff, or your clear crystal quartz and your quartz and all that stuff. But right here, you see this nice little vein going through the rock, right there, all the way around it, through it, all that good stuff. Well, this one was on the surface, meaning that someone had moved it out of the way or it had been broken off or whatever. And So I picked this up, and because I saw a spike out of it coming out of the rock, so I picked it up, and it had red clay on it and dirt and all that good stuff all over it. So we brought it back to the house and cleaned it up on that day. And when we started cleaning it up, it had all this smoky quartz in it up here. All this is smoky quartz. That's why it's a little bit darker. This is the spike I saw sticking up out right here. And then it has your normal quartz, your quartz vein going through it, but smoky quartz all through this thing. Just a very super cool piece. This is going to be a mantelpiece here at the house. And had they had this in their shop there at Ron Coleman, this thing would be close to $300 just for this beautiful stone of crystal because it's got everything that you're looking for. It's got your quartz, it's got your smoky quartz, and it's got your clear crystal quartz spikes coming out of this piece, and some super clear ones down here in this little section over here. But there's a super clear one here. This one's going clear, and then all your smoky quartz up here. So this was a very cool find for us. Um, as it's got a ton of clear spikes coming off of this thing. If you were just to look at this thing up close, you could see all the different spikes and things like that that we found when we were out crystal mining. So we're gonna try and do this at least once a month to find some different crystals and things of that nature that we can find, because you can find all kinds of stuff from the smallest of smalls, which are down in here. See that pinkish one on the right, right there. That was the one, another one I found later on. I don't know if you guys can see that up here or not. Yeah, it's a little bit harder to see. But there's two small spikes in here, and then these little points here. There. But you find a lot of crystal quartz if you know what you're looking for. Then there's a ton of little spikes in here and little pieces of crystal quartz in here. Plus, there's some yellow and some pink quartz in here as well, right there. But we found a ton of stuff, and so it was actually a lot better than going to the diamond mine when we went there several years ago for her birthday, and as well, because all we came back with was some small crystals and some and rose quartz, yes, and some just some cool rocks that we found at the diamond mine. Again, we were at Ron Coleman here in Arkansas because there's a ton of crystal mines here in Arkansas, and in some parts, you probably have some in Colorado, if I could guess, or anywhere there's a mountainous range that has some quartz in it, you should be able to find a crystal mine somewhere if you're interested in doing that. But Arkansas has a ton, and we're going to try and hit one a month, like I said. So we got the rose quartz, we've got the yellow quartz. I don't even know what that one's called, and then we've got the crystal clear quartz. Um, but we found a lot of cool pieces. This is just the tip of the iceberg of what we found in that entire day of digging. Um, and I'm hoping that we find some of the cooler, bigger stuff, um, like the woman found. Like I said, she probably found an 8-inch spear, uh, crystal clear spear, when she was digging for 2.5 hours or so. And that's what we were hoping to find, but we found a bunch of smaller pieces, and we found, like I said, that one was the coolest piece that we found right there, and so it was very, very cool. And so it was very, very tiring because I was supposed to go live the very next day on the 11th, but I didn't. So I ended up not waking up until closer to 7 o'clock in the morning, just because we were exhausted, sunburns, um, exhaustion. She ended up getting a little uh, heat exhaustion while we were out there towards the end of the day. So that's why we went ahead and not really a mine because you're basically digging in the dirt above ground. And what we think they do is periodically, I think they go through there and they resurface everything. They start moving dirt around and moving rocks around and uncovering some of these crystals so that people can have a great time out there finding crystals. One of the last ones that I found uh, before we decided to pack it all up, someone had uncovered it. They had dug their little hole. It was probably about 12 inches wide by 4 inches tall or something like that, maybe. And they had unearthed it. The point was right there, sticking out of the top, but they were fake. But I guess they were focused down in the bottom section and towards the back to not see this point sticking out of the top. And it was a good cluster. It wasn't crystal clear, but it was getting there. Another 100 years, and it would have been a crystal clear spear cluster. But you know, um, the tips were starting to go clear, but the rest was milky down the shaft of it, and it was just like, okay, cool. And the cluster was probably about this big around. It's in the other room. But like I said, we loaded. We probably brought back about 250 pounds worth of quartz and other stones. The crystal clear, the rose quartz, and whatever the yellow one is called. So it was very cool. And like I said, we're probably going to end up doing that once a month, hitting a different one on a regular basis. There is one that we don't want to go to just because there is a time limit at a plot. So you only get X amount of time at a spot, you know. And at that point in time, it's just like, well, you probably just started finding some of the decent stuff if you've been there that long, because it took us probably, we started in one spot and then we decided to move to a second spot. So we went ahead and did that. And from there, it was just like we started finding stuff left and right once we moved our location, which wasn't very far from the original location that we started at. So, and then I woke up late today for my show because normally I try to go on, roughly about 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:12. Hence the title of the production here, 412 Productions, The Art of Monty Anderson. And we decided, well, we didn't decide. We went and had some fun. Went to a friend's house and his brother has a huge piece of property, 20 acres, and a nice house and an in-ground pool, saltwater pool. So we were there, swimming in the saltwater pool, had a cookout, just having some fellowship time and talking and listening to music and we got back late last night, so we didn't get the opportunity to properly put our chickens and stuff away. So I'm pretty sure everybody was in the coop last night. And so from there, we got home, threw a little bit of food in there, then came out, went to bed, and got up late today because we were still exhausted. Having fun is exhausting. So, but on that same token, she's not looking forward to going back to work because she's been on vacation for her birthday. She took 11 days off, and she is, dreading going back to work on Tuesday. So, which is just a few days away. So we'll still try and have some fun out there before she has to go back to work. But it's now crunch time to do a little housework and things of that nature. Got to go put my belt on my lawnmower and all that good stuff. My riding mower. Just because, you still got to cut some grass. But it's all fun and dandy. I mean, that's what happens when you have a homestead and you do artwork and, you're a disabled veteran, And so, all that goody good stuff. But welcome to the show, everybody. We are talking about crystal mining, which is some pretty fun stuff. It is exhausting. So if you don't know what you're getting into, I will tell you to bring a canopy or one of those portable umbrellas that you can set up in your dig spot. It helps keep the sun off of you and keeps you from burning up. It wasn't too hot. It was about 83 degrees, 84 degrees up at the I can't really call it a mountaintop, but it's a hillside, if you will, and you're looking down into this great valley below. It was very awesome. Uh, the day after her birthday, when I was supposed to be live, when I didn't because I didn't wake up till late, we also went and saw Everclear in concert. So that was a fun show. It was free at the casino, Cherokee Casino in Roland, Oklahoma, and they're still kicking it. Lead singer is a 63, I believe he said, and he's still rocking it out. And the whole band did an awesome job. So Everclear was a cool concert. And then we're going to go see in August the Yin Yang Twins. If you don't remember them, go look them up. Uh, Pretty fun group back in the day. Again, an older R&B, hip hop, rap group uh, back in the day. The Yin Yang Twins. But yeah, it's it should be fun. But no, the crystal mining, that's going to be an addiction. I mean, just what we found right now, we could open up a rock shop. You know, it's just what we brought home. Because I've got about 13 bigger pieces outside waiting to get cleaned up that we didn't get a chance to clean yet. And I've still got a whole 3/4 of a bucket left to go through and clean up and wash, that way as well. So we're going to be doing this for a while. Collect, rinse, repeat. Just because, I mean, it's fun. It's an addiction, and it's, you find some really cool stuff. I mean, like I said, this one, even though it's flawed, especially on this backside right here, it's a very cool piece. A very awesome piece. You got that nice little point already on it. But this is the stuff you get to dig up. You can find some cleaner pieces than this. Like I said, you know, get you some nice points like that one, right there. And, you can see all the glinting of it in the sun. That's the cool thing about it. You just let the sun expose what you're looking at, and boom, you because this looks black in the ground, this crystal, because of all of how clear it is, and all the dirt impacted around it. So it actually looks black in the dirt. So, but you can also find smoky quartz as well, which is another uh, good find if you can find a good smoky quartz or even a rose quartz spear like that teeny tiny one that I found, and you know just a lot of cool stuff. I mean, you can find a lot of cool stuff if you really wanted to, and it depends on how deep you want to dig too. I mean, I probably dug about 2.5 to 3 foot in the ground, you know, in certain spots. Now, this woman, I think she dug about 4.5 feet into the ground to find that big spike that she found, and I literally say it was probably, you know, about 12 inches tall. So she found a great find, and a lot of people were out there. And we figured it being that early in the day that there wasn't going to be a whole lot of people, but there was a lot of people out there already, and you can see where people had dug and abandoned and went somewhere else, and a lot of people were just doing that. They were just looking at the surface stuff real quick and seeing stuff and picking it up. But we set up camp basically, and our prospecting and started digging in the dirt. Um, and like I said, once we started digging in a certain spot, we started finding a lot of the clear crystal quartz left and right. So it was pretty awesome, pretty exciting. But you could see some people that knew exactly what they were doing because they were out there, you know, meticulously digging slow in the sand and with their rake and their shovel, their little mini shovels, because a big shovel's not going to do you any good out there. It's so rocky. You're going to hit quartz and rock and other things like that on a regular basis. So don't bring a big shovel if you do go do this. If it's something you're interested in, just because, again, the big shovel's going to do you absolutely no good out there in the ground. At least not in the spot that, at least not in the area that we were at the first time. Again, trip number 2, sometime next month in August, we will see. We might take a shovel with us again, but I doubt it. We'll just take the picks and the mini shovels, like the little foldable camp shovels. Those work really well in the soil, sifting through. Now we might take one of our sifters that we took before, when we were at the diamond mine, because you had to do a 3-level sift just to find anything there. Now here, again, if you just want quartz, the milky quartz, it's all over the place. You can just pick it up off the ground, because people are tossing that aside, because I don't want that. I want something else. I want the clear stuff. I want the rose. I want the yellows. I want the selenite, I believe is what it's called. It's a really cool one too. But yeah, you can find all kinds of stuff, out there, just digging. And we brought home, like I said, a bunch of cool pieces. Like I said, probably about 250 pounds worth of quartz and crystal quartz and rose quartz and all kinds of different things. But lots of cool points that we found, spikes and spears and things like that. And she even found one that looked like a shark's tooth. It had a rock formation and then a crystal quartz coming out of it, made it look like a shark's tooth, the way it was all made, or developed over time in the sand and the rock and the dirt. But all of those compounds rubbing against all this stuff, making it all smooth and glassy. Very cool. But no, it's a fun time. It's an addiction. So I see why you get your gemologist and rock hounds and things like that out there, doing this type of stuff on a regular basis. And Australia would be a good place to go do some, because I've seen some of those videos that they're pulling up some like 5-inch thick by 4 or 5-inch tall spears in Australia, and just crystal clear, and it's just, those type of things are just awesome. Thank you for the likes out there, much appreciated. And but no, it's going to be an addiction. Like I said, we could probably open up a rock shop right now with what we brought home, and like this piece that's got both, that's got all the best of the both worlds, or all the good worlds in it. You got your vein of crystal running through this rock, but then you get over here and you got the smoky quartz, like I said, right here, the smoky quartz, and then you got the crystal clear quartz right here, spike coming up through it, and then you got your regular quartz in it. Plus you got all kinds of other elements, but every little point coming off of this is a nice little spike, from this smoky quartz here, and then this is a little spike cluster here, as well, right in this area. But it's just all awesomeness. I mean, I wish you could see this thing in person, just to see all the spikes. And then over here, there's a lot of crystal clear spikes coming in out of the rock over here as well, But it's just an awesome piece, and this is going to sit on our mantelpiece, on the fireplace, And I mean, some of these points are busted. I mean, it's obvious that, or they look busted anyway. But there's so many good ones on here that I couldn't just leave this piece behind when I saw this little spike sticking up out of the dirt and stuff like that. So this one right here was why I brought this entire piece home. And then once we just started cleaning it up, pop, it just came alive. It exploded with color, the smoky quartz, the little spikes all over this, because you couldn't see all these little spike clusters coming up off of this whenever it was just covered in red dirt and clay, you know. So, but then just the veinage alone as it goes through here, and that's the stuff you want to look for. And so we're going to take a sledgehammer with us next time, you know, to the next one we go to, just because, you know, we know that breaking some of these open, we'll be able to find some cool stuff inside, you know, find those nice little boulders that have the vein in it, and take one of our big chisels and sledgehammer and go to town on it and pop it open, see what's inside. So that's the stuff that we're going to be looking for from now on. And but fear not, we'll still be doing artwork on a regular basis. Uh, Still selling our eggs like crazy. We got a lot to sell because the chickens are going crazy out there with production. So, you know, but yeah, no, it's a fun time. If you've never been crystal mining before, I would highly recommend it. And you can go out there and find you some cool stuff, you know. And I already showed some that we found, but you know, spikes like this have that nice smooth edge on them. It's starting to go that crystal clear segment right there, as you can see my finger pass through right there. And then these crystal clear pieces where you can completely see my finger through it if you were to really look close right there. But now, it's just, and again, the very first one we found that I found was this one right here. It's not perfect, but it's awesome because it is crystal clear in there. It does have its funky little look on it, but you know, this was the very first one found as far as a partial spike, partial spear going on right there. But it's so clear, you know, in through there. Again, you can see my finger through it. And you might mistake this for glass, you know, but it is not glass by any stretch of the imagination. You know, one of the best pieces was this little guy. You know, double spike at the end and top and end, and then it's got some little sediment on the inside right there on that little section. But it's so clear, it's so awesome. You would think that somebody polished it and tossed it on the ground, but it was polished by the earth, by the sand and by the rocks and everything, and the clay and the mud and dirt that goes around it. You know, very cool little piece. You know, so the trip is worth your while because it's like $25 to go dig. You know, but it's all day dig. It's not just a little like the one that we're going to avoid, which is the Wegner one here in Arkansas, because you only get 2 hours at a plot. So there's many others. There's probably about 20 here in Arkansas that we're gonna try and hit over time. You know, like I said, one a month, and that's a lot of plots to hit. But we got to do research on them to make sure that, you know, not all of them do the time limit plots. You know, you get X amount of hours in this spot, X amount of hours in this spot. You know, those type of things. Now they do give tours as well. This tour just basically took you around the surface, as far as I know. I don't think it took you um, into the mines or anything like that. And I could be wrong on that, but you know, we weren't interested in doing the tour at the time. Now, maybe later on, if there's a cool spot that we could go in and look, you know, and see some really cool stuff, that would be awesome. You know, some still big old quartz in the wall, or you know, clear crystal quartz, you know, sticking out of the wall of the rock and things like that. That would be awesome. So, but yeah, you know, all the stuff that we're bringing back, we could definitely start a rock shop with right now. And but again, artwork is on the table. Artwork is on the computer, getting colored up. Uh, Painting is getting ready to happen. Three other commissions are happening at the same time. You know, so had my fun. It's time to get back into the full swing of, you know, the artwork world again, and get some of these commissions knocked out and go from there. just because, you know, um, people are waiting for these things, and we want to get them in their hot little hands as quickly as possible. And we got a book deal that we're working on, where the artwork for the front and the cover is coming along, and we've just got to get it all finished so that he can get it to the printer and up and running and ready to go, and that way he can have his book out there in the world with my artwork on it, and so it's going to be fun and exciting. I mean, everything's fun and exciting right now, and it's super enjoyable. So, and you got to live a little. You can't just work and die, you know. And that's what society is doing. They're working and dying. You know, I walked away from the corporate world, if you will, almost, what is it, almost 3 years ago now? October 26th. Was it 2022 or 2023? Might have been 2023. So only a couple of years ago. And I haven't looked back since. Just because, you know, they painted a target on my back and all that good stuff. And I wasn't having it. I was done with it. And besides, they suck. So now I do cool stuff like this that you can purchase. This is on a saw blade. And you can purchase this. It comes with a little base that you set it in. You set it on your nightstand or your shelf at the house. You can use it to throw keys on, whatever you want. These are the type of pieces that I'm working on more and more. Um, just like Billy, the puppet from Saw, on a saw blade. Go figure. I want to play a game. Lately, you all have been talking about crystals one too many times. But you can get stuff like this for yourself. And t-shirts, we got them. Paintings, I got sitting over here. Like one of my t-shirts right now is this painting right here, based off of my maniacal Joker. And you can get this or the t-shirt, take your pick. And, that Chester Bennington, if you were here earlier to see that t-shirt, this is my Chester Bennington painting. This is my original right here of that piece on the t-shirt. My American Horror, which has the Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, that one did sell. So that was a massive 18 by 24 piece um, on paper, and that one did sell a while ago, probably a couple months ago actually. And I figured it would have sold a lot earlier than that, but it's cool. It didn't. And so I'm doing a big art sale right now. You can also, I don't remember if I put them on here yet or not, but you can go to my other social medias up here and go to, but before you jump, make sure you like, share, and follow. That way you can come back to me if you do go over there to my other socials. But you can find my website up there. And from there, you'll see my alien logo, the 412 Productions, the Art of Monty Anderson. And directly under that, you will find the Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you're here on TikTok already. But on Facebook and Instagram, it does have the artwork that is up for sale right now. Just hit me up on DM to find out, or if you know which one piece you want, you can hit me up on DM and go from there. And we will come up with a good price for you. But I've got 3 portfolios of artwork that are up for grabs. And, I'd rather see them in your hot little hands than chilling out in my portfolios, and go from there. But I also have comic book covers, blank comic book covers that I've drawn on over time, and those are available as well as my comic book covers that are available now through Legacy Comics. This is one that I painted up, and the painting is sitting right over here. I have X amount of copies of that one ready to go, as well as my Psycho Sal #3 that I did a while back. And that is The Job #3 by Legacy Comics. And so lots of cool stuff is happening, lots of cool stuff is going on over here. It's just I need people like you to purchase all my artwork on a more regular basis, especially the stuff that I already have ready to go. If you want to do a commission, just know you're in a waiting list right now, and you're 6 deep, in the waiting list right now. So that is a fun time, you know, because it's great to have that feeling of people continuously putting in commissions, on a regular basis. So, and I'm working through them as quickly as I can between crystal mining and homesteading and living life, you know. And I'm not where I want to be. This is my rebuild year as far as my business goes for 412 Productions, because I haven't always been 412 Productions. If you've been watching me long enough or seen my show out there, or go back and see any of my live broadcasts out there, the beginning of this year, 412 Productions rolled out. We used to be called AGK, and um, towards the end of the year, things just slowed down, you know. And I'm talking about starting in like October towards December. It all just kind of slowed down. Orders weren't coming in. I was still going to conventions, comic book conventions, things like that. But then the very last shows in November, December, it was just kind of like, well, what's going on? What's happening out there in this world? You know, yeah, money's tight. We all know that. Um, but people are still spending it like it's water. You know, and so it's like, well, is there something attached to my old business name? AGK, which was Anderson's Graphics Kingdom. And so I was like, well, let's just start looking at some new things. Let's start doing some things. And about 6 years ago, I had, woken up at 4:12 in the morning, picked up my phone, looked at it, put it back down. It's like, okay, it's 4:12. Let me try and go back to sleep. And about that time, Productions went across my head as soon as I closed my eyes, and I'm like, Productions? What's this about? And I'm like, 412 Productions, and I started putting it together. I was like, that's catchy. That's a catchy name. I'll keep hold of it, and it's apropos for me waking up at 412 pretty much every day. And so I just put that on the back burner of my mind. 412 Productions. Well, towards the end of the year, I started looking at things, and it's just like, well, things are slowing down. Maybe it's time for a revamp. And then, boom, 412 Productions came to my mind. I'm like, okay, let's try it. So I came up with this really cool logo, I thought, and, you know, had this alien drawing on a piece of paper, and I got looking at it. I was like, this is awesome, ready to roll it out. And it's just like, no, this really sucks. I really don't like this, you know? And so from there, it was just like, let's bring some life to this piece. So this was the original logo I came up with. And I had it on business cards, I had it on shirts, I had it on all kinds of stuff ready to roll out. And it was just like, it's just too flat, it's too stiff. It just doesn't work for me. There's not enough life in this thing. So then I created the one that you see if you're looking at me on Facebook or YouTube right now. I do have one viewer over here on uh, Facebook right now. Don't know how many have popped on and popped off, but here I can see that I get a constant influx of people joining, even if it is only for a few seconds. Some people are sticking around to listen to the whole broadcast for the most part, and so I revamped the whole look. I kept the starburst behind him. I kept the art of Monty Anderson, just redid it, and the 412 Productions, I just redid it and moved it up and made a cool alien look from it. Because a lot of stuff that I delve in life and in artwork and things like that is cryptids, Bigfoots, aliens, UFOs, Loch Ness monsters, chupacabras, whatever, Slender Man, any lore, folklore, and things like that. So again, for those of you that don't know me, I live in a haunted house. I am Lonnie Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, and so you get to see a lot of cool stuff out there in the world. And so, you know, I rolled it out, just a soft rollout, when I was at Bonesy Jonesy's Comics and Collectibles in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Brandon Jones, I told him about it, you know, and and as soon as December, the last day of December, December 31st, I think that was, um, rolled around, I put this tombstone with my logo on it, and the start date and end date of AGK, and people started freaking out. You know, they're like, "Are you giving up artwork? Are you done?" It's just like, just wait, people. Just wait. Just wait till tomorrow. You know, depending on the time, just wait till tomorrow. And so it was like, even my mom hit me up. Don't be giving up your artwork. Don't do that. And it's just like, Mom, just wait. Just wait, Mom. Wait. So about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, I rolled out the new logo, the new improved 412 Productions, the Art of Monty Anderson. And as soon as I did that, things started picking up. I sold several original pieces right off the bat. I oh, and for those of you that don't know, this is what the new logo looks like now, as opposed to the old one that I just showed you right there. This is the new logo right there, but you guys get to see it up here. So this is it with a nice new alien on it. All these stickers go on my artwork from now on, all of my prints. So whenever you get a print, it will have this foil sticker on top of it, so that you can be like, "Oh yeah, that's who did that artwork." And I'm also thinking about putting a little email address on the artwork and things like that. So I haven't gone that far yet with it, but my first new prints of the year that rolled out are of the job cover. I have a canvas available. This is the original, but I do have a canvas available right now, and I have prints available of this one as we speak. But with that being said, this is my rollout year of new. I'm going to be doing new table imprints with everything. Meaning, I'm going to have a table cover with my logo across the front, and then maybe even up top. I'm not sure on that yet, but it's definitely going to be across the front. And then new banners for the back, new cards for the table, because people still like business cards. The whole doc card thing is cool, but it still seems dated, if you will. And it worked for a while, but then all of a sudden it started taking you to just one page. It was supposed to bring you up all my links on the doc card, but it stopped doing that for whatever reason, and it just took you to one page only, you know. And so it's just like, no, that's not what's supposed to be happening. You're supposed to pull up a whole link of all of my socials, where you can find my presence. And so from there, new prints are going to be rolling out. 11 by 17 is going to be the standard size from now on, instead of the two sizes that I did offer, because that was just a lot of paper to haul back and forth. And then canvas prints are going to be available as well of certain pieces of artwork. Now, if there's a canvas print available, there's also going to be an 11 by 17 print available. So, those type of things. That's the newness that's happening. Because before I offered two different sizes, and then I had a bunch of stuff just sitting around. I had 8 by 10s as well as my 11 by 17 and my 13 by 19 mini posters. You know, so but a lot of people, from what I've been gathering and understand from now on, is that a lot of people are putting these 11 by 17s into a binder or a folder or a portfolio and keeping them that way, um, to keep them pristine and flat, you know, which is cool, which is awesome. I don't fault people for that, because a lot of people don't hang up everything that they buy, and then later on down the road they're like, why do I even have this, and then end up tossing or giving it away, or stuff like that. So, those are some of the things that we're looking at, because we're doing a lot. We're doing cleaner prints as well. Um, so between the canvas prints and the new glossy semi-gloss prints that are coming out, it's going to be a whole different look once you get to my table, from now on. And we're hoping we kick things off in 2026. But I know a lot of spots are already booked up, and I'm really looking for 3-day shows. 3-day shows are the most lucrative for us. Um, yeah, they're a little bit longer because they start on a Friday afternoon and roll into Sunday night. And yes, you've got to take into account the price of the hotel room, the travel, the food expenses, all that stuff as well. So the 3-day shows are really the best, just because you can make a killing at the shows. And my stuff is geared towards comic books and horror, um, and semi fantasy realm in there as well. So that's the stuff that we do here, is the horror, the fantasy, the comic book related type artwork. And pretty soon things are going to change even bigger, because yes, I will still have the characters out there like the X Men, and things like that, the Joker and things like that. But I'm also going to be focusing on my own characters from my own comic book, which is in the works. You know, and thank you for the repost out there. Thank you for the likes, the shares, and all that goody good stuff. I do appreciate it. That does help out the business here, especially if you are into comic books and talking about movies, especially comic book related movies, horror movies, sci-fi movies, those type of things. Cryptids. If you don't know what a cryptid is, that is Bigfoot, aliens, chupacabras, things like that. Um, Things that people claim aren't real. You know, paranormal. We talk about that here too, because I live in a haunted house, so I have to talk about the paranormal from time to time. Not that I have to. I like it. But if you haven't touched the show, or if you haven't been on the show until just now, we've been talking about crystal mining. We went to the crystal mines, one of the crystal mines here in Arkansas, on my girlfriend's birthday. And we found a lot of cool stuff. So if you're into crystals and things like that, that's a place to go, because you can find crystal quartz just hanging around. You know, some of it chilling on the ground, like this little piece. Right here. This is a flawed little piece, but it can be polished up and look like glass again. Get some of these flaws out of it, like right here. We can see those flaws of where everything's been pressed into it over time. It's not as smooth and crystal clear as this side over here. It's got some bumps and flaws in it. Or little pieces like this one that are crystal clear, spikes on each end. You know, just like that. But this is the stuff you can find at a crystal mine if you're willing to dig for a while. Like I said, we got there just after they opened at 8:30. We got there at 9, and we didn't leave there until basically 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, so from 9 o'clock a.m. to 3 p.m. and they closed at 5:30 on the mine section. So, which technically isn't a mine. It's not like you're going into a cave system and digging in the walls. That would be very unsafe. So they've got all this dirt and rock work outside on where the plot is, and you just dig anywhere you want, as long as you don't dig off their boundary side and fall off the cliff. It's a 175-foot drop. Those type of things. So that is the stuff you've got to watch for. And but no, it was fun. It was cool, and that's why we're gonna do it once a month, just so that we can find some more cool stuff. And that's what we're hoping to do is find some really cool stuff, find some big spears, like the woman found after 2.5 hours of digging, up to I think it was about 4.5 foot into the ground, and she found this spear. So about a 12-inch spear, crystal clear spear. So it was pretty awesome. But it was awesome for her. It wasn't awesome for us because we weren't the ones that found it. It's just like going to the diamond mine when we went for my girlfriend's birthday several years ago. Um, we found nothing but crystals and rocks and things like that. And about 2 days later, somebody found like a 3.2 carat raw diamond, you know, in out there at the diamond mine. It's just like son of a bitch. Should have been us, but no, it wasn't. So, but no, we're gonna have some fun with it, and we're going to you know get out there and hustle it up because it's fun. It keeps you physical, uh, works on the muscles that you got out there. Especially your back muscles, uh, and you will find creative ways to sit or lay on rocks just to dig after a while. After about the 3 hour mark, 4 hour mark, your back is yelling at you, and your muscles are too. But at that point in time, you're like, who cares? Keep going, keep going. So I know I took maybe 3 breaks throughout the entire day, uh, which for me that was one break too many. But because we were finding the good stuff, but we did. We found a lot of cool stuff, and like I said, what I've shown here so far is just the tip of the iceberg of what we found. You can see my videos out there on Facebook and YouTube. I haven't posted here yet on what we have found over there, but it was very cool. and and so we will be going back. Not to that one. I mean, we probably will make our rounds back to it eventually, but that was the first one we started with was Ron Coleman Mining Company, and so from there we will make a trek to the other ones because there's about 20 here in Arkansas, different crystal mines. So that will be pretty cool to go visit and check out, just because it's fun. It is an addiction, kind of like buying comic books. It becomes an addiction over time, and then buying up my artwork that's been remarked on products like here. This is drawn on this packaging, and you can pick it up now. For yourself or for somebody that really likes the Demon from DC Comics. He's a very cool character, especially when Jack Kirby rolled him out back in the day. Very awesome character. Etrigan the Demon. Very cool. I've also got a huge remark on a Venom Mech Tech 998 Pop figure with my rendition of Venom, which is this piece right here, done on the side of that box. It's very similar to this one. This actually glows in the dark and looks cool under black light. So you need to get this in your hot little hand so you can see it under black light. Very cool. I got a Dexter piece chilling over here. I got some more pieces back over there. Chester Bennington piece over here. All that goody good stuff. But we've been talking about crystal mining today and artwork and revamping of the business and and it all is very very cool, you know. And so all of that being said, that's what we're doing here. We're revamping the entire business, when it comes down to it. And it's just very, very cool. Because, like I said, yesterday we were at a pool party with some friends of ours, and we were talking about the crystals. We were talking about, having the cookout and all that good stuff. And it was just a fun time. And it was just awesome, being out in nature, living life, you know. And it's just awesomeness all the way around. And then the revamp of the entire business. Yeah, we're halfway through the year already, and I've only got a certain number of prints available in house right now, and it's not as many as I would love to have for opening up in January of 2026. So, but all that good stuff, it's all going to come into play, all going to line itself out, and it's all going to work out. Um, and even if I don't kick off 2026 with a bang, as far as hitting up different conventions right off the bat, there's going to be some good ones that I'm going to hit. We'll be back to certain ones, like the Fort Smith Comic Con. That one will be, since it's right here in my backyard, basically, we'll be going to that one on a regular basis. So that is going to be cool, and I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate everybody stopping in, checking out the broadcast channel, even if it was just for a few minutes, or to leave a stupid comment like one guy just did. And I just don't understand the mentality of people coming onto people's show and saying stupid shit like they do sometimes. And but that's them. And if they want to do that type of shit, they need to start their own broadcast channel and talk to people the way they talk to people whenever they pop in on their shows. They wouldn't last long. But that is it for me today. You all have a great day. And as I like to say, as I leave you guys, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.